So we are live. Hello everyone, welcome back to Geeks for Geeks. My name is Muskan Agarwal, and yes, we are live with yet another webinar. So just give me a thumbs up in the comment section if I'm perfectly visible and audible. Yes, I can already see around 42 people live. Yes, I'm really excited for this webinar because even I was looking forward to learning this particular topic. So yeah, just give me a thumbs up in the comment section if I'm perfectly visible and audible, and then I cannot wait to add my guest to the stream because we have so much new topics, so much new to learn in this webinar. Okay, thank you Ankita, thank you Mano, thank you Akshay, thank you Mohit. Okay, I am audible. So before adding my guest to the stream, I would just like to tell you all must have already seen from the thumbnail, but we are going to learn the concepts of Spring Boot, which is so commonly used these days, right? From Anshu Kumar. So he's here with us, and we are going from basics to the details of it. Okay. So this is going to be really informative. We are going to learn a lot after this webinar. So stay till the end. And yes, in another 2 minutes, I'll add Anshu to the stream. Yes, by the time you can just ask more of your friends to join and check everything is perfect. There should not be any technical glitches in this webinar. Yes. Hmm. I'm just waiting for few more people to join, and then I'll quickly add my guest to the stream. Also, if you guys have any questions during the webinar, so we will definitely try to take them if time permits during the end. But most of all, we'll try to cover everything while he's teaching. Yes, now I think we can add Anshu to the stream. Hi Anshu, how are you doing?
Hey, hi Muskan. I'm good. How about you?
I am good as well. So we can start with the webinar. I can already see there are so many people live, like in the first 5 minutes itself. So, firstly, thank you for doing this. And before moving ahead with the webinar, can you give the audience a brief introduction about yourself so that they can connect with you better?
Yeah, surely. Hi students. Myself, Anshu Kumar Chaudhary. So I have around 4.5 years of experience with full stack as a full stack developer, and mainly backend heavy kind. We can say 70% of the work that I do accumulates to like backend work, and I have been using Spring Boot, and I write it in Java. Spring can be written using any language like such as
Yeah.
Kotlin or Groovy, but I use Java mainly to develop APIs applications for backend server. UI side, I am aware of, like I develop UI as well using Angular and React. So I have around 4.5 years experience, and my name is Anshu Kumar Chaudhary. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn anytime. So briefly, like telling you about the this webinar, like I'll go through the very starting and like how. Let me tell you the flow, how we are going to go through it. We'll tell you about how Spring used to exist earlier, like Spring, and before that, very briefly, like how in while we had JSP and servlets, how J2W application we used to make, and then we got Spring as a break, and then Spring Boot is an enhancement to Spring. Correct. So, what used to exist earlier? A brief intro about it. How software development whole life cycle happens. Like there will be front end, there will be back end, caching, and so many things. Like let me give you a brief idea. Further to we'll see about Maven very briefly, like in detail. Like I'll try to touch the most important points, which will really give you good knowledge about topic Maven. Further, we'll try to set up a Spring Boot project from scratch. Okay, we'll use Initializer or archetype details. I'm going to inform you about that. Followed up by dependency injection. That's what my plan is, and then scopes if time permits. So
Yeah.
let's get a deep dive into it. Let me know if you are able to see my screen. In case if you are not, you can just message in comment. Okay.
Yes,
So the
I
topic
will.
that
Yeah.
so I'm sharing my screen. I hope I'm completely audible. So let me I don't know if my handwriting will be that good, but yeah, I'll try my best. Spring Boot is the topic for today. So let's see a brief introduction, like in software development, like a software development. How what are the components that are mainly involved? If you see, like basic in presentation layer, I'm not talking about there are various layers, right? Like transport layer, hardware, we have different layer, but we are sitting on the side of presentation layer, correct? We develop application which will sit on the top of the hardware, correct? So I'm talking about the only presentation layer. So what exactly happens, like this is for any naive person also, I'm just introducing because so that it will help any very beginner student as well. So this will be our suppose front end, and here we have our suppose user, correct, who will be using the front end, because user can only interact with front end, and this front end has like the will have the communication to the back end, correct? This front end will have communication through the backend, and this backend that we have, like this front end that we have, we can write it in many languages. Like earlier we used to use plain html and then plain js to write the logic, like html, then we have what, js, then we have frameworks related to it, then we have css. So many things will combine together, and then we have frameworks related to it, correct? That is suppose not suppose, it's angular and react and many more, like example. So we can for front end side, these are the requirements, okay? Back end side, like back end side, what are the responsibilities? Like if you think like as a back end developer, what would be my responsibilities? So as a back end developer, like first and foremost thing that I would be doing is like developing apis, correct? Like and what else, what further? So we can surely develop APIs, manage the security, and backend has very major important responsibilities. And what is that? Like, do you think like the most important responsibility that backend has is it has to communicate with the database, correct? So like database, and if you see, like if there is any design that you see in your future, like if there is direct communication between them, it's completely wrong. There should not be any direct communication between front end to database, okay? So communication go can go only through backend has that responsibility to handle the communicate with the database. Okay. Now, so where does Spring Boot lie? So we have backend here, and here we can create a like server, backend server using various frameworks. Okay, and their features in Spring Boot. Okay, and what are the responsibility, like what a spring boot can do, what does spring boot provide us, we'll see it shortly. But spring boot, this backend, what will be the language that we can use? If we use spring boot as a framework, we can use java, we can use kotlin, and any other language also, few language which can be integrated you with which can be integrated using this Spring Boot, and we can develop the API using this framework. Okay, so now coming to, let me, this was very brief introduction about the how like front end and back end exists. So there may be a lot, there will be a lot of thing in between. We can have cache here in between, but yeah, when we see topics in detail, we can check all of them. Okay, Redis, the distributed cache, and we can have like DNS mapping and all. Everything can be there in place. But yeah, this is very basic architecture how uh, application exists in modern day. Okay, let me go little down, and let me tell you briefly about the spring boot actually. So we will mainly focus on spring boot. Okay, so for spring boot actually, what is it? So spring like is a, okay, let me tell you first early days, like 2005 around, or 2005 to 2010 around. So we were having GSP and servlets. Okay, so there we used to write our Java code. Okay, so then those days our architecture will be, front end will be there for sure, and then we will have server separately. Okay, so server server separately, and then we used to have our Java code. Okay, which used to handle like whatever logic we want to handle. So server was outside it, and so we used to write our servlets and JSP, and that used to communicate through Java code, and it used to give the response back to the front end. Okay, so like on front end we can have some button, right, and that can be clicked by user, correct? Clicked by some user, and they can very well get the response. So earlier, if you see, like we used to have for any kind of configuration also, we used to write a lot of files like XML files and everything. To create object also, we used to have a lot of responsibility on Java class and XML files that we used to write. But with the coming of Spring and Spring Boot, actually, so all the things, it changed actually. And let me just put enter here so that I get more space in this screen. Yeah. So with the coming of Spring and Spring Boot, we have got the opportunity, the opportunity to do what, in Spring Boot, if you see, the new architecture would look somewhat like this. We will have our front end here, and then this will connect with what? This will connect with our backend directly. Okay, backend. Now the server in Spring Boot will be embedded here, correct? So if you know Spring, and if you don't know what Spring, you can directly learn Spring Boot also, that is also fine. There is nothing you need to always learn Spring first, and then there are few major enhancement that was done to this, which is the latest version of Spring called Spring Boot. That's it. Okay, coming to, this is our server. Now here we have embedded server in the backend. This is new architecture. Okay, so this is our front end, this is our back end. Earlier we used to have our server outside. If you see, what did I draw? Server was outside, but now it's present in the same container. Okay, there is no separate call or anything to the backend that is required. And what are the servers that on which our code will run? Server example, if you I can give you is server. Tomcat is the most famous server. I hope you would have heard about that. Then we have Jetty. Okay, these are a few Glassfish and many other servers are there. So these are a few example of server, and this is how the modern latest Spring Boot architecture it exists in today's scenario. Okay, so this is very basic architecture actually of Spring Boot. I hope it gave you a brief idea about. Let me just check if there are some comment. Okay, database. Hmm. Database backend Kotlin is good, or Java or Go? Okay, I can take up that later. So Spring Boot gives us. Let me take this question actually. What are the advantages of Spring Boot actually? So Spring Boot gave us a lot of a lot. I will check that for sure. What are the advantages? The question was asked by a student, like what are the advantages of Spring Boot? Okay, so earlier, if you are aware, I don't know if you are aware, but yeah, we used to have to do auto. Spring Boot provided us auto configuration. Okay, so this auto configuration actually helps us to create configure write the configuration file. Like suppose this object is dependent on some class, now it can be done using annotations. So it made our life easy, correct? So with the advancement, it became easy for us. Like now developer need not to focus more on writing config files, convention over configuration. That's what the statement it is said about Spring, correct? Rather than worrying about the configuration, Spring Boot gives developer, okay, if you have some you want to develop things properly, you can go ahead and develop your actual enhancement and feature, rather than worrying about the config file. Okay, this has to go here, and this XML file bean has to be mapped. Now bean, suppose there are two classes, and one class needs first class needs second class as dependent. Okay, there is dependency between them. Bean are the object. Okay, in very simple language, bean are the object. And if you want to actually, suppose you want to inject it, if you want that dependency class 1 to be present in class 2, or class 2 be present in class 1, you need to make it available there. Either you can go ahead and create plain object. Okay, like we'll go through that actually. Let me come to that. But yeah, overall, yeah, I can say you the advantages mainly that was provided to us was all about like mainly configuration and focus on rapid application development. Okay, so that was a very major part. Let me share my screen once and let's go through now. Coming to let's come to Maven actually. So what is Maven? Maven is a build tool which is used to manage the dependency. Okay, so what are dependencies? Let's come to that one by one and we'll see the Maven very briefly, like where Maven exists in whole place. And let me, what are the okay bullet point that I need to take care of is, yeah, Maven. So what I can do is, let me show you example. Let me open my ID. Let's go through example one by one, and then that will be very very informative, I believe. Let me take some different name. Now, after seeing the very basic architecture of like application, I am here to tell you about Maven, which is a build tool which is used to manage the life cycle of the dependencies that are required. Now, if you are not, if you, I believe you are aware about dependencies. If not, then let me brief you very, yeah, shortly about that. Let me come to Eclipse. Okay, and what we are going to do is, let's create a Spring Boot project, and there we'll parallelly see about Maven. So let me brief you about how we can create a Spring Boot project. So there are two ways mainly to create a Spring Boot project. Either you can very well go here, file, and you can click on new, you can click on Maven, and then you can click on create a project of simple archetype. Okay, archetype selection, and now you can go click on next. Okay, and it is going to ask you about the group artifact ID and group ID. So mainly this is the reason I wanted to tell you about Maven actually, and how we create a project. So we'll be required with group ID, artifact ID, packaging. We have to define. Okay, let me tell you a very brief introduction, like how what are these archetype and all. Okay, so coming to here, we have landed to like how we can create a project. So let me tell you what are the archetype, uh, and then you will have a better understanding like what is archetype and all. Yeah, while creation of a very suppose you want to create a project, we can create project using like that new option. We can create this project using Spring Initializer. Okay, so let's see the raw way, because Spring Initializer is already like a ready-made solution for us. It's easy and it's reliable also. But let's know what actually happens. So just to give you a brief idea about that. So Maven manages what? Manages the dependency life cycle, correct? And to create any project, like we have to understand like three things. Maven will give us, if we want to create a project, what all options we selected. If you saw we selected like we selected file, and then we went to new, and then we clicked on Maven project, correct, which is a build tool. It will help you with all the like base code and all the architecture that is required to create a Maven like Spring Boot project. Okay, if I click here archetype, it is going to give you like give him group ID. What is group ID? What is artifact ID? That might come to your mind, right? What is name? What is description? Why is it asking me so much of details? Correct. So let me tell you about this here first. Like to create any project in Spring Boot. Okay, what we have to exactly worry about archetype, correct? Now this archetype is divided into three parts. Okay, what is the first part? First part will be group ID. Okay, I hope you saw there, right? I'll give you with a very good example. Okay, like you'll understand it properly. Just focus here. Then we have artifact ID. I'm talking about archetype. Maven will give you various options, like the way how you want the project to be there. If you want it to be MongoDB project, archetype might be different. If you want a Spring Boot project, archetype might be different. So based on that, Maven facilitates you the basic architecture, like boilerplate code. Okay. Now coming to here, first will be group ID, another is artifact ID, and then comes version. Okay. Now, question will be in your mind that what is group ID? So group ID can be the name of the organization. Okay. What is artifact ID? Artifact ID is the project name. Okay. Project name. Okay. Coming to version, you can give anything like if you have started a project, I hope you are aware of version. We have version with the apps also, correct? You can give anything 1.0.0, anything. Okay. Like this will be major patch, minor patch, and like that there will be the dot separated by that. But let's now focus on what is group ID and what is artifact ID. I told you like group ID is name of the organization and artifact ID is project of the project name, what is going on. So suppose if I have to give you example, like I can give you example of suppose let me take Google. Okay. So group ID, if it name of the org, I am talking about Gmail. Okay, Gmail is a product by Google, correct? Okay. So group ID, if I ask you like what should be the group ID for this project, group ID can be the name of the org. What is the name of the org? It is Google, correct. Then coming to what is the name of the project? Okay, Google has a product called Gmail, correct? So we can name it Gmail, and then the we can have the version, correct? So suppose I give here 1.0 first version. So this is how like we can create a project very well. We can give all the details here, and we will we can give all the details here and we can create a project. This is one way. Okay. And now let me show you that example of archetype. Here we'll be having that archetype. Add this project, let me create, skip, next. And if it is giving me some group ID, yeah, let me give some group ID, suppose demo, or org name, suppose some XYZ org. Okay. And product by, let me follow things properly, XYZ org, and then product org. Okay. And like how do you want the packaging as? So I can give it a jar war, but packaging let it be default, and version by default it is given here. You can edit the version as well. Let's go ahead and name we can give like demo project fifth, today's date. Description we can leave, and this is and it is going to create a project, and we are going to, if you see, we have successfully created the project, and we'll be able to see the POM. We'll tell you about each of them. Okay. I'm moving inside, like why do we have POM, and if POM wouldn't have been there, what could have happened? Okay, everything about that. Okay, this is one way to create the project. You will have everything. Okay, test, resource, and JRE system library. Now if you see, I was talking about dependency, right? If in first after first 15 minutes. So to run any project, there might be like multiple dependency that would have been required. Suppose like in this project, I want to use SQL, okay, MySQL, and I want to integrate it to DB. I need SQL dependency, right, which will be having some class of connection driver or like anything like its implementation will be there in that jar, correct? But how do I add it here in this plain Java project if we have, correct? So one thing is I okay, today I got requirement, okay, I have requirement for SQL. I can just do one thing. You can ask me like, Anshu, why can't we just import it here? I'll tell you, okay, we can do that. We can go to build path very well. We can configure to build path, and we can go to library. We can click on add external jar, and we can select. See, I had it here. You can also download it. We can, I can tell you where you can download this jar from. We can, you can download it from Maven repository, Maven Central. Okay. So you can click here, and you can click on apply, and you will think that, okay, I have reference library. Okay, I have added this dependency. So now just imagine like this is one dependency that was required, and in a project there might be 500 plus dependency, or suppose 15 dependency. Okay, 50. So what would you do? You will go ahead and download jar from Maven Center and import it here every time. Do you think that will be feasible? No, of course not. It cannot be feasible. Like it might end up like you are having 50 or 100 microservice that might would have been communicating, and to maintain the dependency for each of them, you will go ahead and download and add it to library path. Is it feasible? No, it's not feasible. So that being the reason, we have Maven. Okay. So Maven, what will it do? So now the question will come. Okay, is it Maven? Maven will manage these dependency. How is it going to manage that dependency? Okay, that question should come to your mind, right? So rather than I taking this form, I have already explained you. Now I'll tell you to. I'll come to that, like how Maven will manage that dependency and what are the various life cycle of each dependency. Okay, that Maven is going to manage. Okay. So now let me show you the other way how we can create the project, and that is the most reliable way. We'll generally create project like this only, and we can go this way also. There is no problem. Just that POM architecture, I'll take some time to like actually put the code. So we'll not waste much time. We have very limited time. We'll go ahead and show you the other way how you can create Spring Boot project. In that, we are going to see how Maven is going to manage the dependency. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to spring initializer.com. Okay, .io, start.spring.io. So here we are going to create our project. Okay, one more thing I wanted to tell you guys is, see, a normal Java project will not behave as a server, okay? That you have to understand. There is very important difference between server and a normal project, okay? Server has to keep running so that whenever it is hit, it has to respond, okay? There is a difference between normal Java project and server because I'm going to show you that. So let me tell you, like there is a difference between normal Java project, okay, project and server. See, if you see like Flipkart, it is ready to respond to any point of time, like whole 24 hours it is running, right? Yes or no? Flipkart. Whole 24 hours it is running. It is not a normal project. If normal project will be there, it will go ahead and give you the output and it is going to end. Okay, but server it has to run continuously. So like we are going to see like how a Spring Boot app behaves as a server. What are the dependency that we add to make it behave as a server? Now let's go ahead and create that project, then you will get to know like what are the difference between a server and this. Coming to this part. Okay, I am here. You will open this, and the moment you open, you will have to like the build tool. Again, I'm telling you, like Maven, we are going to use. Gradle is something similar, exactly similar to Maven only. It is also used to like manage the life cycle, okay, of the dependency. Which language we want to write? I told you, right? That Spring Boot, we can develop APIs and all whole software integration in many languages like Java, Kotlin, Groovy. But here we are going to write it in using Java. Another question will come to your mind, like Anshu, why is this defaulted here? So how do I remember? Yeah, these are a few unstable version. Like broadly, I can tell you, I didn't remember exactly, but yeah, these are few unstable version that are there, and the whatever by default when you load the page, whatever version that it is defaulted to will be the most stable version available currently. Okay, latest most stable version. These are under development or beta like that. Okay. Coming to the group ID, I hope you are very much aware of artifact ID, group ID. Like group ID will be the org name. Let me give a GFG 5th. Okay, I'm just going by date so that I don't have anything duplicate in my system. Okay, so that I have a unique name 5th and demo project for Spring Boot 5th. I'm just adding that as an indicator. And I am going to use Java 8. I believe Java 8 is self-sufficient to support whatever thing that I'm going to demonstrate here. Now, the most important thing is I will click on generate. Okay, I will click on generate, and it is going to give me the zip file. Okay, now the most important task is to take that and put it on right place where I can unzip it. Okay, and demo, just don't mind demo, and then I think my screen got freezed. Sorry. Yeah. I can very well go here. I'm just trying to put it at the right location. That is nothing more than that. Okay. Let me do one thing. GFG webinar. Yeah, I'm putting it here. The moment I put it here, we have to first go right click on this and click on extract all. Okay. This is the location where I wanted it, the project to be there. So I'm extracting it here. Now you have to import this project to Eclipse, correct? What I am going to do, I am going to the till the path where root at the root pom is there. Okay, till this path we have directly pom available. So to import, we need to give the path. Okay, either you can browse from there. So how do we import a project? Let's see. I am going to just leave this here. Let me delete this itself. Let's keep things very clear, cut, and clean. I'm going to import. You can click on file. You can click on import. You can search for Maven. Okay. An existing Maven project. You can select on this. And here, root directory, you have to pass the path till where form is present directly. And the moment you click on focus, for out of focus from here, it will automatically load the POM. POM is going to have all the information like what all dependency uh, this project is going to have. So now what advantage POM is going to give here is like POM was present there also, but I'm just explaining it here. Like we need not to go ahead and add every library here. Okay, like right click and add the library here manually. Okay, now POM says that I am going to take responsibility that okay, which all dependency you need, you can go ahead and put it in dependencies tab. Okay, suppose you need dependency related to MySQL. If you see here, do you see any dependency related to MySQL here currently? No, I don't think you are able to see any. Correct? There are no dependency related to MySQL. Correct? No dependency. Now suppose that time I very well went to the library and imported it here, and you were able to see MySQL connector. Do you think we can add something similar to that here using POM? Yes, we can add. That's why we have POM, and Maven has given us this POM. So to get that dependency, let's go to my Maven, MySQL connector. Yeah, let's take some version. Let's check this version 8.0.28. Now here, if you come, see, we have this Maven repository, okay, and .com, okay. So Maven actually takes the like this is the helper site kind of I can say. Actually, we have Maven Central and VN Central. UI is not that good. Just that you can go ahead and search things here. Okay, but yeah, this is no, not Sona type. I think. Repo.maven, yeah. Repo.maven.apache, yeah. It is not that good. So friendly helper site is this. You can come here, and here if you see, you will be able to see dependency. Dependency related to what? Related to MySQL. Correct. You have to select this. Go ahead and put it here. You want this dependency in this project, right? Till now you saw jar was not present. Let's go ahead and put that dependency here. Now to put the dependency, what are all the things that is required? If you remember, I told you we want the domain, like the org of the project. Then we want artifact ID, which is the project name, and then we want the version. If you don't give the version, that is also fine. It is going to download the latest version. Okay. Now let's go ahead and check. It is just building. Okay, like Maven has that responsibility to like build using its various life cycle. Let's go ahead and see. It had builded, and now you will be able to see the jar available here. Are you able to see the jar? It just got it right, got added right now after we added this dependency. It went to rebuild. Like I have in project, when you go to click on project, and if you see build automatically, it's checked, so it automatically build it, and it has added the jar here. So POM became so easy. Now thousands of dependency, go ahead and put thousands of dependency here. It is automatically going to take care of this. Now who is going to take care, like where did it download from? That will be your next question. Like and so where did it download from, right? Like that is the main question that comes to your mind. So coming to that, let's tell you like where did it download from, okay, and where will it be present, okay. So coming to that, if there is anything else I wanted to tell you, no, yeah. Let me tell you where did it download from, okay, and using that only we are going to see various life cycle of Maven, okay. So what happens here is Let me tell you very clearly about this point. Any dependency you put in POM, okay? Any dependency you put in POM, okay? Like where will it resolve from? Where will it download that dependency from? Okay, so it will download from, suppose any, from repo, Maven repo. Where will it download from? It can download from local. Okay, if found. If not found, it will go ahead and check in remote repo. Sorry for spelling mistakes and all, but yeah. Then it will go to central repo. Okay. Now, question will come to your mind that what is local? So, what happens that local is something that is present in our own machine. Okay. So, this will be present somewhere in our own machine in .m2 folder. Okay. Remote repo, something that is common to your org. Okay. Suppose you work for any XYZ company and it has its own remote repo where those all dependency can be checked. So, there we have org specific. Okay, org specific. Then we have central repo. Central repo is that Maven repository, repo central that I showed you. So you can check here. This is the one, right? This is the Maven central. And suppose you wanted that same dependencies SQL connector. Can you check it here? Yes, we can check it here. You can go and search here SQL. SQL, MySQL. Okay. How I am able to find this directory? Its name will be MySQL. So what I did is, I went here. I want the project name, group ID here. Okay. If you see here, we have MySQL. I went by group ID, and then you have to go by artifact ID. So MySQL is the name of the folder. I went to MySQL. I'll click on this. Okay. The moment you click on this, then you will have MySQL collector Java. Okay. Is this correct? Which I'm trying to say? Artifact ID. So first it will folder will go by group ID, then by artifact ID. You can click on Java. Okay. And then whichever version you want to download, you can download. We downloaded this version 8.0.28. Correct? Yes. So it will resolve from this place. Now let me show you where in local in M2 it will be present. So just now we put it. What happens whenever Maven using its life cycle, whenever dependency is not available, it is going to check in remote and central. And while actually adding it from central, it adds it to the local storage also, that is M2. Let me show you in M2 where it got added and how we can search it. We can search it using videos document. I hope we have something called users here. Yes. And then Anshu, then .m2 folder we have. Then we can go to repo. And here you will have, if you come, you will search with what? So you will, for searching a dependency, what you can do? You can check like, okay, group ID is MySQL. Let's see if we have it directly. We should have it directly. Yes, we have the folder here. And here you can see the dependency. This is already added. Okay. So you can very well see the dependency, how it got resolved. Now, coming to Maven lifecycle, let me introduce you to that. I've showed you the M2 folder. Let me check any pointers that I need to discuss with you. Yeah, I have already showed you this Maven Central. You can have this out, check this video again in case if you don't get the link back. Coming to now, what is the other thing? Yeah, coming to Maven lifecycle. That is what I want to discuss next. Yeah. So Maven, this part is very interesting actually, and you will like it. Maven is very interesting. Maven life cycle. Okay, we will check through clean. Okay, clean. Then we can go through what? We can go through clean. Then let's go through compile. Then let me tell you about the life cycle. Yeah, let me tell you about test. Let me tell you about them. Like I'm just trying to take important life cycle. There are many other life cycle in between, like validate, verify. I'm not taking that. Like let's discuss what we use generally. Let's take package. and let's take clean install. Yes. So we'll check each of them. Okay, clean what is going to happen exactly is clean is going to, whenever you write like clean, it is going to delete your target folder. Okay, deletes the target folder. Okay, compile is like it is just going to compile your code and put it into the target folder. Okay, compiles the code, bytecode, Java bytecode will be put into a Java bytecode will be put into your target folder. Test. Okay, now another thing is like what happens here is if you run Maven compile, test will be untouched. Okay, it will compile only code that is present in main. Okay, only code that is present in main. It will not compile anything present in test. Okay, and test phase, Maven phases, we are talking about phase, right? Test phase will only compile things that are present in test folder. This test folder. Okay, it has nothing. It will not compile anything that is present in main. Okay, so compile test folder. Okay, package, it is going to, package is very interesting actually. Package is going to create a snapshot. Package is going to create a snapshot. Okay, and put in target folder. Okay, and then we have install phase. Install is going to actually create a snapshot and push it in local, in push in same package. It will do same thing as package, only difference is it will put it in target folder also, but it will push into local dot m2 repo also, so that other project, if they are using this project which we are developing as dependency, they can use it. Okay, I can explain more, but yeah, but let we'll go in detail later sometime. But yeah, let me show you a few phases because we have time constraint. Now we have target here. Let's see this target here. Okay. Now I'm going to show you everything using command line immediately. Okay. We can check there also. We can check here also. Okay. I have gone to this folder. Okay. Now I'll go to command line cmd, right click. We cannot run as administrator also. I just want to change the path. Okay. Now we are going to see each life cycle phase at least here. If you see clean, right? Let's go ahead and run mbn clean. What happens? Let's see. If you see the moment we ran clean, what did I say? It will delete the target folder, right? It just cleans. So what did it do? If you see, it has. Hmm, where is it? Sorry, I missed something here. So it has actually, if you see it here, it has deleted the target folder. Correct? Yes. Now, if I tell you what does compile does, mbn, I'll run a compile. Okay, compile. It is going to, it is going to do what? It is going to create bytecode, generate Java bytecode, and put it into the target folder. Currently, target folder is deleted. Correct. Now, if you come here and run this, and let's see what happens. Target is not there. We'll run this. Okay. If you see, it has generated the target folder, and this target folder is going to have what? Bytecode of all the classes that were present in main. And main was having only one class. What was that? Demo application dot main. So this is the dot class file that will be present in the target folder after we run the compile phase in Maven. Coming to the next, let's see compile. Then we have test. So if we have test, like it is same as not same as compile. One more thing I wanted to inform, like it will run sequentially. Okay, if you run ambient install, all of them will learn, all of them will run. If you run package, all of them above it will run. If you run compile, all of them will run clean and then compile. Okay, and that part I forgot to mention, I just informed. Apart from that, yeah, target, and then let's check about Maven package. Okay, that we can check it here. If you see currently, let me go ahead and refresh our project here on UI. Like, okay. And here if you see, we have just the like decompiled sorry dot class file generated, okay, that is present. Okay, now I'm going to run. We don't have any snapshot. If you are able to observe, do we have any snapshot? No, we don't have any snapshot. Let's run another phase, ambient psckg package. So what did I say? Ambient package is going to do what? Create a snapshot and put it in target folder. Let's see what happens. There should be a snapshot present here, correct? So I'm going to just go ahead and refresh it. And if you see, we have a snapshot created. Okay. It is present with the same project name. Okay. That we have defined here. Demo fifth. Correct. So we'll have this generated here. Now, if you ask me like, can I check this in .m2 folder? Because I'm telling you, package is not going to push it here. Yes, it is not pushed here currently. Okay. How do you verify that? You can go ahead and check with like where com example gfg fifth. Okay. Let's go ahead and see in com. Then we can go to example. We don't have anything gfg fifth here, correct? Because we have run only ambient package. Let's run ambient install and see what happens now. What ambient will do, it will do same thing as package, because all of them are going to run sequentially, but it is going to push this jar into the local repo, that is n2, correct? So let's go ahead and see. If you see now, okay, you will ask me, this is the local repo.m2. I want to check if, since I have already run ambient install, okay, and if you see what it has done, it is installing it into like this snapshot jar to this location, that is a repository com example gfg fifth demo fifth, and this is the jar that it has installed, correct? Now you can come here, you can go to com. That time that gfg fifth was not there. Now if you see, this is available, correct, with the snapshot version. So this is the main, like very brief about Maven, and that's what I can introduce you with. Coming to, let me tell you briefly about dependency injection also. Okay, let's take an example very shortly. Let me see if there are any other lot of queries. Any cloud dependency, GFG has a course and SpringBoot here. Where learn Spring Boot from scratch. I'll reply to all of you. Okay, after this session, I'll reply to all of your message. I'll just take up all of those. Okay, don't mind. Let me show you a very small API that we can make. I'll be little fast. Okay, small API that we can make. Okay, we have created a Spring Boot project. Now let me brief you about what is Spring Boot application. Like, why do we have this? And annotation. So these are the annotation that is, if you see the hover over this, it is composed of auto configuration, component scan. So Spring has like, while app startup, it checks for anything that has been annotated with @ component directly or indirectly. Okay. It is going to think that as a candidature of that it is contributor to the IOC container. Now, what is IOC container? IOC container is like, you can say it as hypothetical term. Okay, and IOC container is a kind of hypothetical term. Okay, we can think this as container. Okay, which which manage the life cycle of the like. Okay, application context. IOC container is a hypothetical term, okay, and application context is what we call that. By whenever a Spring Boot application starts up, it is going to initialize all the component, all the object of the classes which has been annotated with @component, and make the bean, that means object of that class, and put it in the IOC container. Okay. For why will it go ahead and create? So that it can be used across whole application. To give you example, while at the start time only that is going to happen, IOC container is going to initialize. But now currently we don't have anything let's create a component first immediately. So I'm going to write here. GeeksforGeeks controller. Okay, I'm going to create a controller. I don't want a main class. Sorry about that. And let me show you like how is it going to create a object restcontrol. Okay, control shift O. And here, if you rest. Okay, guys. I didn't show you something. I should have showed you that first. Delete. Let me show you. Like, let me run this app and see what happens. Okay, run as Java application. I was about to show you that. Yeah. So if you see this, let it run. I think it is still running. Okay. If you see this, we have this we have this running as a server, correct? So we let me tell you about actually. Okay. Hmm. Let me brief you about POM first, like what was existing here. And so any Spring Boot project will come from like Spring Boot starter parent. Okay, this will be the default dependency that will be present. Like any project that you are going to create will have to be inherited from this Spring Boot starter parent. It will be present by default. Okay, and then coming to like Spring Boot starter is going to give you the whole this is going to behave as a this will inherit from Spring Boot starter parent. Okay, coming to like if you see, I here tried to create a controller, correct, but it was not working, correct. Why it didn't work? That is the main concern I think you should have. I wrote here a GFG controller. I am trying to write a rest controller, rest controller. I'm not able to import this. I should have an option, right? Why am I not getting this option? Now you would think like, okay, its implementation will be in some dependency, correct? Shall I go ahead and download it and import it here as a library like this? See, immediately we got a requirement, right? We want it to be used, correct? Shall I do it like this? No, it is not required. I have POM with me. What is the dependency that is required to make this work? So to make this work, we need a dependency actually. We need a dependency that is web, Spring Web. And this is what, if you see here, it's written build web including RESTful application MVC. So rather than again generating and downloading it, I'll just go and explore. Okay, it will give me the dependency name. I'll go here down. And if you see here, I have added here. Okay, this is the dependency that I need. Okay, I'm going to take copy this here, just dependency is in a tag. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and paste it in my POM. Okay, the moment I paste it, it will go ahead and download that dependency. Correct. See, it will it's building the workspace. Now what will happen? This has what this class was having, the REST controller. Now when I try to hover over it, you will be able to see we'll have import option. Correct. So now this is how we were able to resolve the dependency issue. Now I was telling you about like the at app startup how is Spring is going to create that beans. Let me show you that. This REST controller is having what indirectly. If you see, it is having okay. Sorry, it is having at the rate component. Okay, at the rate controller, and at the rate controller has indirectly component. Okay, any class that has annotation as at the rate component directly or indirectly is liable to be created as an object in the Spring IOC container. Okay, so now you will ask, okay, I have annotated it here. Let me write a very simple method: public string get the details. Okay, I'm going to return something like let me return this. Yes. Hi everyone. Okay. So I have this. Now I am telling that object of this will be created. So you will think like, okay, really? So let me start the app. Okay. We should be able to see beam. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. If you see here, Okay, I will not be able to see. Let me show you using the property file. Just a second. Just give me one chance. Resource, we have application properties file. Okay, in this property file, I will just use log in a property. Just a second. I'm just trying to enable the log. Okay, we can see. I would need. Let me take till here so that we have. Everything. Okay. Log we can see in very detail, like if we get a chance to connect again with you guys. Okay, but here I'm trying to enable log. Okay, debug. I have enabled debug log. Now there are various log level: trace log, info log, debug log. Okay, now when I will run this application, you will have more logs, because currently if you see we are only having info logs. I have enabled debug logs also. Okay, run as Java application. Okay, and let's see, we will have so many. Yes, this is what. Now I'm telling that this class that has been annotated with REST controller will have object created. And with what name? With this name itself, GFG controller. Let's go ahead and search. I'm going to increase the size of my console. Control F, Control V. Yes, now if you see, we have created here, it has printed like a single instance, singleton bean of this class. Correct. So similarly, like if we can create more controller and more controller, so similarly the classes object for that will be created, and it is telling that it is shared. Correct. That means it can be, it is present in this place. IOC container as common, like common bean, and it can be injected anywhere. So how it can be injected? Like who will inject it? So we can inject it using annotation, at the rate autowired. Why we will use? Actually, I'm telling about dependency injection right now. Okay, let me introduce you about dependency injection. So dependency injection is a like process of injecting dependent bean in the class wherever it is required. Very simple. Like suppose we have another class. Okay, another class GFG GFG controller 2. Let me name it as 2. Okay, okay, and now, so ideally we will not inject controller in controller, but yeah, I'm just trying to give you with an example. So if you see, like suppose I have annotated it with REST controller. Here also it is present with REST controller. Bean for all, both of them will be created. Next time when I run, what will happen? GFG controller and GFG controller 2 will also get printed. Now suppose this class is required here. Okay. I have two options, guys. Be very clear with this concept. Okay, I can very well go ahead and create an object here. Obj equal to new obj. This is very well we can do this. Okay, very well we can do this. Okay. But do you think like in this for one method, I need this class here, I have injected it here. Another method, I'll again go on creating the same object controller to. Correct. What I'm trying to say, trying to say is get details to. Suppose I want to reuse the same object. So do you think in every method I need to create object? It is not feasible, right? We'll go ahead and creating object multiple times, and this is just one class where we need. Suppose we need this controller 2 here. We'll again create so many objects. So can we use the same object which we created while IOC container initialization, like I app context initialization? Yes, we can use that. How can we do that? So if you ask me, like we can directly add the it. Let me write a config file so that it will be more clear. It will not be clear the config. Okay. Here again, I am putting some different annotation, GUI and configuration. This also indirectly has what component on it. If you hover over in on it, you will have component. So bean of this will also be created. Suppose I want this to be injected. What I can do in controller, I can very well put here like this. Okay, GFG config obj, and we can use annotation called at the rate auto wired to wire the bean. Okay, this bean We all know that this bean is also present in IOC controller. Controller 2 bean is also present here. Controller 3 bean, demo config bean is also present here. But how do we glue them? How do we make bean 1 reach to bean 2? For that only, we have annotation called auto wire. This is going to give pass the reference that is already available in the application context to the desired class. So this is very basic of dependency injection. We can check in more detail. I can show you the hash code and all, if same object is being used or not. But yeah, that's pretty much about today, guys. I'll have to wrap up due to time constraint. But yeah, if we get more chance, we are surely going to connect further and go through each of the topic in very detail. Maven alone takes more than 4 hours, and Spring Boot will take more than I believe 16 to 20 hours for sure. So I've just tried to cover briefly what I could, but I'm going to address all of your questions in after I get back from a place, but I'll surely reply to that. Truly, thanks for joining. Actually, truly, thank you for your time. Sure. Thank you, everyone. It was nice having you guys. Truly, thank you.